Welcome to the shit show. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. This is episode 28th, June Dye Project, which was a show we weren't even going to have, remember, because we're not dyeing anything for June. Okay. We have lots of stuff has happened that we need to talk about. So, let's just get right into things. It's like for a show that wasn't supposed to happen, this is like full of a bunch of crap. So, I'm wearing, what is this? Meant to be Oink Pigments. This is a crop top from Knit Crate a couple years ago. Anyway, oh my gosh, we have 4 finished items today, so let's go into that. First is my reclaimed cropped Cascade 220 Highland top that we did get a few inches of ribbing, not that many, about that much. It fits fine. So that was a Lola Sweater. Then we have a Lola Sweater because it was on my needles that I needed to finish the Dye Project Lola Sweater. So this was done with this Will of the Andes Garnet Heather. Remember, this is the color I do not like, so it's too orange. So this is one of our dye projects. We're going to dye this black. So this is the entire skein. This is what I had left over. Like I said, it takes about 50 grams. So I'm not going to cut anything. I'm going to dye it just like this because then I know it's 50 grams. But I'm going to get more into this when we go into our dye project part of it. So these 2 are finished. So I got 2, 3, 4. Okay. But before we go into that, I want to talk... No, we are going to talk about May's Dye Project first. Oh my god. Hang on, because there's so much stuff happening. And then we couldn't get the room set up the way it was supposed to be set up because the sun's coming in, so... Okay. May's Dye Project. Now, if you remember, if I can remember that this is mirrored and to not go the opposite way I want it to be. Okay. We had, this is a 3/4 color. Why is this here? Because this is a 3/4 black. So these are actually opposites. This is a 3/4 color, 3/4 black. So 1/4 black, 1/4 color. So after I talk to you about this lace, we're going to take a look at the patterning above the lace because I promised you I'd do that. So, May Dye Project Alone and Awake is the colorway, and this is actually done on our pattern Ruth. This is done on Hillary Ruth. Okay, so we worked Ruth with the open arm variation on the garter tab, which there is a video for you to see that open arm variation at the garter tab, which is right here's the center stitch of your garter tab. So it is open, 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 all the way down, open arms, like the Journey song. Open arms, all the way down. And I like this because it gives you more stretch than the make one left and rights of the closed that we typically do on Ruth. But I still did the closed increases down the center because I like how that looks. You probably could do the opens for her. It would give you a bit more lace. So you certainly could. No shame in that. I do want to talk about something, but not on this side, because if you saw my picture on Instagram where my cat bit through my shawl as I was working on it, I totally forgot about it until I was blocking and there was a big giant hole. And I didn't lose any stitches, but it's too stretched out, so I'm not even going to weave in the ends. Eventually I'm going to undo this until that point and try to fix it. Because I'm a perfectionist and nothing can ever just be there. So that's why I have not cut the end off, because it's going to get redone. But what I wanted to talk to you about was this part right here. Then we'll bring it a little closer so you can see this. Looking right at her boobs. Okay, so this is a full repeat right here. Let's move this over a little bit. Let's see if we can't get it on her like bra-like, because that would actually help us. Okay, so here is a full increase where we have the 6 holes. The 6 holes will tell us that's a full increase. And then over here we have 2. And then we have another 2. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. Okay. So you have 2, 2, and if you see, they move. And as I was saying before, then there's 4. You wanted to not stack them. Here's the thing, you can't not stack them. I went through I can't tell you how many times to try to get these to look like this, and it doesn't happen. I think it has to do with, see how this curve is happening with the increase, because there's an increase right here. There's the yarn over, then you knit 1, then you make an increase, and that increase messes with it. So I'm going to show you both. I'm going to show you the side one, which we did right here, and then I'm going to show you the middle ones. So the side one is right here. Okay. So when we started the first row of I don't know if it was on the first row. Was it on the first row? I don't know. Obviously, it looks like it's on the first row, doesn't it? So I could make okay, first of all, I went to 50 grams, right? I worked to 50 grams. At about 60 grams, I stopped and counted my stitches, which I hate to do, and that's why I work with weight, so you don't have to count your stitches. But I wanted to make sure that I had even stitches on either side of the center stitch point, right? Because that means that I'm going to have the same amount of repeats. Okay, so I had the same amount of stitches, so I just kept going till I got to 50 grams. Then when I got to 50 grams, $50.79 grams. That is when I started the first repeat. So I'm pretty sure that left me with 9 stitches. Okay. Getting ahead of myself. Once I got to 50 grams, 50.79 grams, I started with the center stitch on my needles, because the center stitch does not, it just counts. It doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't count in our stitch counts. It's just there as the center marker. Okay, so, and then I had that center stitch marked off, so there are markers on both sides. So after that marker, I counted 18 stitches, and then I put a marker, and then I counted 18 more stitches and put a marker, and then I counted 18 more stitches and did a marker. And I did that until I got to the 2 or the 3. Remember our 3 salvage edge, the yarn over and the 3 salvage edge, 3 stitch salvage edge. So that 3 stitch salvage edge doesn't count either. So in between the center stitch and the 3 salvage stitches, I put a marker every 18 stitches until I couldn't anymore. And I'm pretty sure I was left with 9 because I had 3 stitches and 6, 2, 2, 2. So I did the same thing to the other side, and they were even. That's why you want them to, the stitch counts to add up, so you know you have the same amount. Okay. So then this is what I did at the front edge. You did your 3, you did your normal beginning, your 3 salvages is your yarn over, your knit 1. Then you have an increase, which is what this V is. That's an increase. Then I knit the 3. Then I did the 2, 2, 2, the 6th row of the repeat. Remember I told you you could do it 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, and 6, 6, 6. So we did 2, 2, 2. So then we did 2, 2, 2 until we had right here, you see, K6. Once we added another 6, we could then add, we could switch to 4, 4, 4, which is what happened. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. So we only had 2 of those, and then we got into the 4. And then you can see the 4 actually goes in a bit better than the 2 that goes boop, boop. So if you wanted to, I would say maybe wait for the 4, but then you would have this much without lace to start the 4. But the 4 I think does work better. It doesn't line up though, because if you look at this, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there is a center right down here that goes to the point. That's how you know where the point is, because there's one, this is a knit that goes all the way down to the center. And this doesn't happen this way because it actually goes off that way. So it's harder to find your center here. So again, you don't have to do this. If you want to wait until there was enough for the 6, you would have done that on the 6th repeat. So you would have been like this, and then you could have done a 6th repeat. So I would say if you don't want to do this because it's got that weird one hanging off, at least start the 4. I would start at the 4. I'm probably gonna not do the 2s and start at the 4. Okay. But then you had all these 6, so 7, 8, 9, 10. You had all through to finish the repeat. Otherwise, if you hadn't done that, I mean, you don't have to put them in at all, but you would have this whole space would just be stockinette, which could be, if you like that look, then go with it. Do whatever you want. Now I want to talk about the middle. This thing was a beast to block, and I don't ever want to do it on this again. Like, I think I'm only going to make this on the cashmere because it worked so well. I did not like working with it on the, I think it's just too much. So here you have 2 that are, here's our center point, okay? I wonder if that's why it didn't work, because I let this go. See, again, we don't have the center point coming down here, and this did not block well at all for me. But again, if you didn't want to do this, you probably could have gone without this, because this one we only got to the 666 on the very last row. So what would happen here then is you wouldn't have this point, you would have a flat, which probably would have made that point better. So maybe for this one, I probably would not have done it, honestly. Because if you're only going to get it on the last row, what's the point? Because we started with 0. So we had the very first row increase, knit 0. We went right into the 18, right? So then it took us, before we had 6 rows, we were on the 4th repeat. Okay, and then to get to the 4, we're on the 7th repeat, and then 10th repeat for the 6, 6, 6. So in hindsight, when I redo this, I'm going to make some notes. I'm not going to do these 2 in the middle. I'm not going to do them. And the side ones, I think I'm going to start at the 4, 4, 4 and go from there, because that, I think, don't look at that one because that one's got the hole in it. I can't believe I forgot to mend that before going in. But I mean, if you look at the, I don't think that last one looks terrible. And I think that would be way too many to go without. I mean, you could. You certainly could. It's not going to matter. It's on the arm, so who's really going to notice, right? But I think that's why my point is, and you know how I am about that focal, you know how I am about that point being your whole focal point, and look at that, looks terrible. Anyway, eventually that's going to get, because I can't repair, it's so stretched out, I can't repair it with just weaving in the ends. And I'm not going to weave in the ends if I'm not going to bother. The weaving in the ends that I did on this one was different than Eleanor. If you remember last episode, I had a hard time weaving in the ends on Eleanor and having them show through. So what I did is Very Pink Knits. I will link it in my, I have a playlist on my channel of recommended viewing or something that I put from other people. And Very Pink Knits did a tutorial for weaving in your ends on stockinette and garter, that she talks about umbrellas and smiles. That is what I'm going to change to, because what I was doing wasn't working, and I did it on this one and it worked great. So I will put that in there for you. I'll try to link that below if I remember. But do check that playlist because there are lots of things in there. I'm going to put Stephen West. He just did a video on his 5 favorite increases. They are all increases I use. And he tells you when you can use them for other things and stuff like that. When you can, like, I like to give you options. If you don't like this increase, use this increase. And if, you know, whatever you like. So before we stop with these, I want to take a look. Oh, I'm going to take a look at how they compare. Because these are, these are opposites. Remember, this is, oh, my chair moves. I forgot. So it's not going to help me that my chair moves, though, is it? So these are our opposites. So remember, this is 3/4 color and 1/4 black, and this is the opposite. This is 3/4 black and 1/4 color. What I did notice is we still got right in the middle, right? I love how all of these feel so similar, but are still a little bit different, and still, you know, I think I'm going to undo her as Ruth. I think I got what I needed math-wise. I think I'm going to undo her as Ruth and make her a Hillary, because I don't think I like Ruth in this way. Oh, I'll take pictures, of course, but I think she's going to get put on the back burner and undone and redone as Hillary, I think. I don't like her in Ruth. I don't. Maybe the yarn's too thin and I don't like it, or there's 250 is too much. I'm not sure. Something about it. Maybe it's because it takes away from the tiger stripe that I love so much. Anyway, let's get on to other things because we have a lot to talk about. Let's put those over there. Okay, so now, what else am I talking to you about? I wish I could get all of them out and compare them all and see what they all look like. That would be really fun. I just don't know how to do that. Oh, we didn't go over the math of her dye. This was 3/4 1% depth of shade pink, which was, the pink was 75% deep magenta and 25% teddy bear brown, because you know I always give them my colors. And then the 1/4 black was 3% depth of shade black, which was ended up 0.75 grams of Dharma's True Black. You know I use Dharma True Black. Okay. But that's all in the last episode, so if you really need that, go back to May's Dye Project episode and it will tell you all of that. Okay, now I want to segue into whips because we have more dye talk to talk about. So, this is my V-back tee, and we're going to have some discussions. Because these were matching skeins. And if you go in my project, you will see matching skeins. And now you will see non-matching skeins. So what I did was, when I started this, right under, when I got to dividing for the sleeves, because you cut your end, I blocked this section to see how it fit. And then I made another one in a smaller yarn, a smaller needle, because that one was huge, so I used a smaller needle, and then I blocked it. And what happened was we lost all of the undyed part. It went green. Okay? It bled. It bled. And it went green. Can you see it? The more I do it apart, you can see the... Now, the big problem with that is... Let me find a good representation of this. See all these speckles that are rainbow? There's pink, there's red, green, yellow, orange. There's a bunch of speckles in here. Okay, so then when you come here, they're orange, yellow, and brown speckles. What are my two least favorite colors? Orange and brown. So I lost my pink speckles, and all of this light green is supposed to be undyed yarn. So I want to talk about this. By the way, this is Mad Tosh Euro Sock, 100% merino. They were the same dye lot. It was a one-of-a-kind color, but they were the same dye lot. Like I said, this blocked and the color bled and then redeposited. This is called backstaining, and this happens a lot in the dye industry, not just yarn, but everywhere. You see it quilting. When you're quilting and you put red next to white, or this happens a lot in cotton yarns, the way cotton uses a different dye process than protein fibers, which is why I don't do cotton. So there are ways to keep this from happening, but I because I soaked this to block, and I had already soaked this one, and it was fine. Because I used 2 different skeins. Because I had 2 skeins, I used one, and then I used one. So what happened was the water was green, 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 green. Oh my God, so much green. So I wasn't soaking. I was actively rinsing to try to get it to not backstain. I was hoping I could get them to release and come back out to no avail. So then what I did was I took the rest of that skein, because it did have undyed yarn, and I tried to reset the dye in a hot acid bath. And what happened was it released yellow. And then that yellow, this is not a backstaining, this is a dye, because I added acid trying to prevent the green backstaining. I got yellow. I don't know if you can even see it, but this part is so yellow. There is no undyed yarn left in here. It is all tinged yellow. So, which is weird that half went green and the other half went yellow. I was not expecting that at all, which is when I say you never know what's going to happen when you're actually in the dye pots, because stuff like this happens. Now, stuff like this happens a lot with speckled yarn, which is why I don't buy a lot of speckled yarn. And here's why it happens. When you speckle yarn, you have no idea what depth of shade you're doing, okay? Because it's a literal speck of dye. So there's no way to measure that. So while speckled yarns are great and all, if they're not properly set, it can muddy up. It can really muddy up your work. And I'm so disappointed with this. I am so disappointed because look, my pink speckles are gone. My pink, it's muddy, and look at this. Yellow and orange speckles. There's a little bit of, I think that's red. Like, I am so beside myself, because look at how clear this is. You can see the pink, yellow, you can see the red, you can see all the colors. Everything's beautiful. And I know it's not showing up as well, but if you go to my Instagram, you can see the pictures and go, wow. Like, even the rest of this, you can see this isn't overly green. You can see they're just yellow now, but you can see that there are undyed spots. They're just yellow now. So I tried to save the other hank, couldn't do it. This is a bit I have that is still undyed. No yellow, no green, just normal. So, let's see, what else do I want to talk about this? Okay, right. So when you're speckling, you have a concentrated dye. Like there, it's just, boom, pink. Okay, so we know that was a speck of pink dye on there, but we don't know what the depth of shade was, and we know that fiber can only hold so much dye. I'm not sure what that number is, and I've dyed, well, I'll get to that later, but I have dyed commercially dyed yarns up to 5% depth of shade black, and it has all held. So I'm not quite sure what that actual number is, but when you're speckling, you're doing that in such a small bit that the reason this happens is because it was too much for that small bit. So that's why the dye comes out. Either it wasn't properly finished, it wasn't properly set with enough heat and acid to hold on, or it was just too much. And there are ways to, when you know something is going to probably bleed and may cause back staining, you can use products such as Synthropol that will keep the extra dye, that excess dye that bleeds out from redepositing, because this isn't actually a dye, it's a stain. It's redepositing, but it's not, it's like when you stain something with coffee or tea, that may not last forever. It may, depending on the fiber used, the strength of the coffee or the tea. And I think that is also a chemical process. But this isn't like a dye process. It's back staining. It's coming back and staining. Like if I had dropped, let's say I had some bare yarn and I just happened to drop some black powder dye on it. Let's say I just dropped some on it. That's probably not coming out. Even if I rinsed it immediately, I'm probably going to get staining. That's just the nature of dye. It's just what happens. They're two different things, but they can be permanent or semi-permanent. So I don't know why this is such a, I got in an online argument. Well, I didn't get in an argument because I didn't comment back. But this is a real thing that happens. And sometimes sometimes you can see, it's hard to say because there are different reasons why it happens. It could be that if it was just diet, it could be that your water is too alkaline. So in that case, adding acid to your rinsing or blocking water actually will help bring down, bring your water to a more neutral where it's not going to disrupt the bonds. And again, that's pretty much after you've just done it. I'm not sure that that happens after usually after it's been sitting. I think that's just excess dye at that point. Because I don't know of any dyer that would rinse their yarn out and let it keep rinsing in color and not having it, you know, just going, oh, it's fine. Oh, it's great. And I don't know what Mad Tosh was doing. But had I had Synthropol on hand, I would have immediately, but I didn't. I have some coming to me now, obviously. So anyway, is this all I have to say about this? Also, this is why I don't buy a lot of speckled yarn, because this tends to happen. It's also why I only speckle with black and gray, and I'll tell you why. Black dye, like I've said, I'm going to show you something I overdyed a while ago. Okay. This is a top that I made up and then I dyed. And it was made up of scraps of these three colors. You might have seen the picture on my Instagram where it's like all of these almost faded into each other, but it was so ugly. I was like, I'm not wearing that, I'm dyeing it black. So I made it up and then I dyed it black. Okay? So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do that, because here I did. Now what I had to do in order to get the darkness, look at how dark that is. In order to get the coverage that I wanted, I had to go 5% depth of shade. Okay? And it covered all the colors. This really picks up lint. It's got alpaca in it. So that is why I speckle with black and the grays, because the grays are like black. You can really go, you can take black at a high depth of shade and it will stay. Like when I rinse these out, I don't have any black coming out. I don't have any back staining of black. My yarn, if anything, the pink comes out. Or the blue, remember the blue? But the black never comes out. I'm telling you, black is a completely different dye. It's so much easier to use than all the other ones. It is amazing. Look at this. This is speckled with some, looks like black and some gray maybe. No back staining. This didn't give it a gray hue or anything. So that is why I only use black and gray, because I know I can safely speckle those. I can set them and they're not going to ruin your yarn. But the colors are bleed and backstain. Oh, I've had that happen more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. I can for sure think of this and one other time that a speckling changed the color once I was done, and I don't like it. Okay, so my plan for this, because I'm actually at the point now where I need to join a new color now. I'm thinking of starting with the yellow because I'm not sure the green is done bleeding. But I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to dye it black because I don't like the 2 greens together and it's just going to make me angry to look at it. So we'll have a 4th dye project to dye in the pot. So that'll be super fun. Won't it? Yay. So, oh, I also want to tell you that there is a difference between backstaining and crocking. Crocking is when you're working, if you've ever worked on with yarn and it starts staining your fingers, that's crocking. And that's probably a good indication that your yarn is probably going to bleed and maybe backstain. So that would be a good time to, if it's not a solid color. If it's a solid color, I probably wouldn't worry because what are you going to do? It's a solid color. Like if it started happening on like one of my tops, I would probably not be worried about it because it's not like it's going to mess the color up, right? But that is excess dye, and that is usually the pH of the sweat on your skin doing that. So if you've ever worn brand new jeans and you take them off and your skin's blue, that's crocking. That's from the extra indigo. Because when you sweat, your sweat has a pH, right? So it changes your skin, pH of your skin. I don't know that much about crocking, but if you find that happening, I would research that a little bit and see what that has to say, because I bet you that is a real good indication that you are going to have some bleeding when you block that. So as always, if you are doing something with 2 different colors that are like I got a kit for an American flag shawl that had red cotton and white cotton, and she pre-rinsed them, so we didn't have to worry about that, which was great. So those are things you can do. The problem with speckles is you don't want to do that because you're going to muddy them, and that should not be happening at all to those ones. That's why I would be careful who you buy your speckled yarn from, and make sure you've bought from them before you like go grab a bunch of speckle to make a sweater or something. Like I said, that was Mad Tosh, so I thought I was safe. My mistake. That's the 2nd time I've had a bad experience with them, so I won't be buying Mad Tosh again. You can buy Mad Tosh if you want. I'm totally not telling you what to do. I'm just saying you burned me twice and that's it. I can spend my money elsewhere. It's not a problem for me. I did really like that green though. Okay, so you guys, we have squishy mail and we have what our June projects are going to do. So let's do June projects, because if we go too far, we might just skip squishy mail and do that next time, because it's only the other half of my nitpicks were. It's already getting hot in here. Okay, so our plan for June projects, remember, we're doing, the shorts are going to be, I'm actually going to start these after I'm done filming. This is Super Wash Merino Sport Weight, 328 yards, 100 gram, 2-ply. This is from Dyer Supplier. This is 2-ply. It doesn't look like 2-ply. anyway, I'm going to start the shorts right after this. And then we have also the other crop top to make with this ball. So I wanted to talk to you about how we prep for dyeing objects that we have already knit. I think better if I have my pen in my hand. So we've done this. Okay, first of all, the one thing that you have to worry about when you are over dyeing things that you have already knit is you have to think about something called resist. And resist is like tie-dye, like when you make twists and things and you don't want, it's when you don't want dye to get on something. And I wanted to show you that the tops that I make, these straps are an I-cord, pretty tight I-cord, and you can see there's no dye knot in there. So that's about the tightest thing I can think of that would cause a resist would be an I-cord, right? Like I can pull this apart and I'm not seeing any bare, it wouldn't be bare yarn because it would be, I think the top part was silver, so it would be that gray color. So resist is something you want to think about. But in everything we're doing, the shorts, the dog sweater, and another top with the I-cords, I can't think of anything that's going to be in the way. Now, what you don't want to do is weave in your ends. Because if you weave in your ends, chances are your ends are not going to get dye. So, like you saw for the dog sweater, I left my beginning. My beginning's not going anywhere because I do a slip stitch thing to connect to my beginnings, and then my end is pretty in there. So I'm not worried about this coming apart in the dye pot. So I decided I'm going to put the shorts, the dog sweater, and the crop top. So these will go in a pot together because they'll be small. And then we'll put the V-back tee in its own pot just because I don't trust that that's not going to continue bleeding and doing whatever the heck it's doing. So you want to make sure your ends are not woven in, but you want to make sure they are secure. You want to look for any places that there could be resist, which there shouldn't be for us. The V-back tee was done in a large gauge, so the water's going to throw freely through that. That's what you want. You want enough water first of all, number one, we're not weaving in our ends. Number two, we're going to weigh everything so we know what we got. Like the dog sweater, I'm not cutting anything off that is 50 grams. I'm going to do the same thing to my top because I use it till the end. I use it till I can't use anymore. So that again will be 50 grams. The shorts is the only thing I'm going to have to weigh so I know what, and that's how much to dye. That's how much dye we're going to need. Now we're going for straight black, which I'll probably do a 4%. The red heather might need a 5%, so I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to do 4% on both, and then if we need an extra 1% to cover, then we'll do it. That's fine. I was thinking of just doing 5% for all of it, just to cover everything, and I'm not convinced I won't do that. I'm not convinced I won't do that, so I haven't thought about that yet. That's going to be when I'm in the dye pots and going, what do I think? Okay, so those are the things we have to do before we do anything else. Don't weave in your ends, and weigh everything. You want the weight of the finished project. Okay? Because that's how we figure out how much dye to put in. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pre-soaking the night before. I'm going to put, again, in 2 separate things. I'm going to, the VBAC tea is always going to be separate because I don't know what she's doing. I'm just going to leave her separate, and then the other 2 should be fine, because even if some of the garnet comes out, that garnet heather comes out on the bare yarn, it's not going to matter because I'm going to over dye it black. You're not going to see. But what I'm worried about is that green not being done. And I still don't know if I'm going to go with the skein that hasn't been worked up yet that turned yellow, or if I'm going to use the green. I'm not sure if I'm going to need more than the other. So not sure how, I haven't made that decision either. So we're going to pre-soak the night before, plain tap water, whatever that pH is. Our water's pretty alkaline. It's a little bit more alkaline than neutral. So I'm just going to soak them in 2 separate buckets overnight. And that is so, the water is kind of, what do you call it? The conduit of the dye. Okay, so we want the water to be able to flow through. This is, I'm purely talking for a standard over dye where you want solid color. Well, this could be a regular dye, this could be your first dye, this could not be an over dye. When you want a solid dye, you want a solid, you don't want tonal, you don't want mottled, you want solid, 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 as solid as you can get. We need a lot of water. You need a lot of water, and that is so, and you need your object to be really, really wet because you need that water to be flowing in and out, because that's how the dye gets there. So we're going to pre-soak overnight. So 8 hours we're going to pre-soak. Then in the morning we're going to add, you can use that water to put that water in. I would leave out your item first. So transfer that water into your, I use giant stock pots for soup, you know, giant stock pots for soup. They're huge stainless steel things. So we'll have 2 going that day. It's gonna be so hot. Hopefully that's a nice, it'll be July, it won't be, we won't have any cool days. So I transfer the water in, leave the things out while I'm putting the dye in, so that I measure my dye into the pots and make sure that has dissolved, and then I'd put my items in the pots. Then you can start heating, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna let them sit for like an hour in the dye before I start heat, because it does take hours for those stock pots to heat up. So I could just heat them up. I'm not sure. I'm gonna kind of see how I feel about it and let them go however they want to go. Then once I do start heating, I like to heat slowly, because again, I want an olive color, and the heat will adhere some of it to it, kind of like a staining, kind of like a back staining. But the true chemical process won't be complete until we add the acid, and that's like the real fixative, and that makes all the magic happen. So once I have my heat up to about 185, which is what I like to do merino at, then I'm going to add, and I have, I got those pH strips so I can see. And then once your acid's in, it really, mine don't take a long time to clear. It might take 30 minutes to clear. But at that point, I'm probably going to let them go a little bit longer, maybe 40, 50, 60 minutes, just to be sure. And then turn the heat off and let them cool down, which is going to take hours. And then I'll probably leave them until the next day, until the next morning. That's my plan right now of how we're going to do all this. It sounds like a lot of work, right? It's kind of a lot of work to make sure that your work is, you got a solid, even coverage. And that is my secret to it. You're welcome. So anyway, I think that is, didn't I have a pen? I swear I had a pen. Where did it go? Did I eat it? Where is it? Okay, anyway. Okay. So we're at 50 minutes. Do you want to do the squishy mail real quick? Oh, my pen's in the squishy mail. Okay. I guess that's a sign. We'll do squishy mail. Okay, so you guys remember, it's getting hot in here. I actually got up late, so we waited till after the lawn guys, because they do the lawn guys don't come to my house. They come to my neighbor's house. So I got what was this? Nightshade Heather. Nightshade Heather, which is the red and purple, and the Jurassic, which was like the green, gray, really gorgeous colors. So I have 3 of these, so those are going to be a top. And those were the same dye lot, which was weird. I was like, maybe they're going to be different, but they weren't. Then I got this color, Solstice Heather, which is like a blue and some purple. It's really nice. It's not quite a navy. It's a blue and a purple. It's a really nice blue. I'm actually not minding it at all. It's a pretty blue. And then, like I said, I got 2 different grays. I got a Marble Heather, which is the lighter. And then I got Cobblestone Heather, which is darker. They're both pretty true grays. I don't see one as being browner than the other. Sometimes they're brown, purple, but these are pretty true gray. So yeah, I got no prices. But anyway, those are the 3. So these are the 3. I'm sorry, 5 colors. Pretty much true to my if I do colors. I do stuff that's not black. Dark and moody, right? So those were 3, what'd I say, $3.50 each one. So that makes a top for less than 10 40s. They're $3.49. 9, 18, 27. So $10.47 for 3, which is what it takes to be a top. Now I finished this last night. I have some thoughts about the wool of the Andes. Number 1, it is splitty. It is a splitty yarn, and I had to keep dropping down and pulling up. I had to keep dropping down and pulling up. I don't even know what that is. It's just a little string hanging there. I had to keep dropping down, and because when I do easy stuff in the round, I kind of don't pay attention. I just go. You know what I mean? It's like this whole belly section from here to here is 28 rounds, so I don't pay any attention to it. I just blah, 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 blah. I'm watching TV, blah, blah, blah. Don't pay attention. So other than it being splitty, I think it's okay. It was splittier than my Cascade and my whatchamacallit, Northampton. But I'm still wanting to give it a chance. Now we're gonna dye those first before we can even block them, so that's gonna be a while before those are even wearable where I can compare them. We'll see what Lola thinks of it too. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't put sweaters on her in the summer. Oh my god, it's so hot. We're still under an hour. Good. Trying to keep everything under an hour so we're not here. Plus it gets too hot in here. I'm like dying now. It was okay. Now it's too hot. But I was going to ask you something, and I forgot what it was. Oh, I'll be back to you. I just like saying that. It's fun. If you have any other ideas for, you might want to go on my Instagram and see how different these actually look, because I'm not sure it's showing up that much here. Because it's so green. Oh my God. And I kept rinsing and rinsing and rinsing and going, please, 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 please come out of the natural, you know, the bare yarn. And it's still there. I might continue rinsing them both though. I might see how much rinsing I can do. But if you have another idea, I can't see any around just dyeing it black. I can't see any way around that because of how dark the green is. And how green this is. Does it work better if I show it to you inside out? Do you see the difference? There. It just stained it all. There's no bare yarn. It's green, green, green. And everyone was like, oh, but it's prettier. And I'm like, yeah, but guess what? Now they don't match. So, I don't know what to do. So, black is always my go-to. And I figure black covers everything. But if you have another idea, I just want to get it done so I can see if I like it, and then I'll start, you know, maybe start another one on colors I like that aren't speckles. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, which was a lot, and I hope you sat through it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to me and looking at my gorgeous backyard. But I'm Casper now. It's encroaching. Oh, my foster dog got adopted. She got adopted to a family like 25 minutes away, and they have a big giant yard that's with a 6-foot privacy fence, a really big backyard, and she's got like 4 pug brother and sisters, and they keep sending me pictures of her. It's hilarious. Like, I think they think I really miss her, and I was like, just, you know, send me updates once in a while, and she sent me like 12 pictures since she's been gone. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'd rather more than less, I guess, because I don't hear about a lot of my dogs. I only hear about one of my other dogs. The 2 that were here that I was babysitting, those are the only other ones I hear about. And it's hard to have a dog in your home and love it like it's one of your dogs, and then it leaves, and then you never hear anything again. I don't think people realize that the people that foster your dogs loved them like they were their own dogs. So send them an update every once in a while, because they are still thinking about your dog and wondering how that dog is doing. I guarantee you. Unless it's one they really didn't like. And in that case, do it anyway, because they'll laugh about it, how you got stuck with that dog. Anyway, oh, my kitty cat left too. She went to the second foster because she weaned and she finally left. So I'm foster free until I think Saturday. I think we're getting a poodle, a mini poodle or something. I don't know. We're getting something on Saturday. And Cheech is going to be here tonight because it's Wednesday. Cheech is coming. My foster that my sister adopted. She's coming to stay the night and all day tomorrow because they're going somewhere. So that'll be fun. So watch my Instagram. I post a lot of dog stuff on my Instagram too. I hope you like dogs too. I love dogs. Anyway, thanks for coming. And hope you learned something about dyeing today. And I'm excited for next month when we actually dye this stuff up and see. Would you be quiet? I'm doing a video. I'm excited to see how everything dyes up. I mean, it'll just be black and you won't be able to see it, but right. What's next week? Oh, next week is open. Oh, guys, I made a decision about my shop opening that was supposed to happen in June. I'm not concerning myself with the shop opening and soft open in June now. What we're gonna? Oh, you're seriously at the mailman? I think he's young too. I think he's cute, but I can't tell. He's very tall. Be quiet. So I'm not going to be opening my, because I had a rainbow, I had a gothy rainbow set ready for Pride that I never got to do, so we'll scrap that and wait till next year. I'm still hoping to open in October, September, October maybe. I want to get these designs out of the way. So I want to get the second series designs, Eleanor, Dana, Linda, Maya, get them out of the way, get them done out of the way, and then I can focus on the store. I ordered 2 new colors from Dharma because they came out with a new gray that I wanted to have. And I got espresso bean because I wanted a darker brown, because like this red was done with teddy bear brown, and I wanted to see what would happen with a darker brown. So I'm probably gonna do because I have that done, I'll probably just do a little swatch with the espresso bean, because I'm a goth dyer. I want to see how dark I could, what would happen. I don't know, we'll see. So, and I got Synthropol, so lots of things are changing. But anyway, next week is an open one. I was gonna do what I was thinking of, the scales part 2, remember, where I would show you how to estimate your rows, how to do all that, and plan, so you can plan ahead. So I'm gonna do that for you, because I didn't really go over that in the first scale one. And I think that is why some of you are like, I still don't get it. So we'll do that. And if you have a different idea, because we have some other open ones. We got some open ones in July and August, October, November. So if you have ideas, if there's stuff you want to see, please comment. I love that you guys are commenting. I absolutely love seeing comments below my videos that aren't spam. So thank you guys. Anyway, I gotta get out of here, because now we were under time, now we're over time, and now I'm gonna have to cut some stuff out. So thanks for hanging with me. I hope you got a lot of work done on whatever you're working on. I hope your tea or your coffee or your drink was delicious. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week. Bye.